I will call to order the January 9th, 2024 U.S. Chess Executive Board meeting, which is, it's been our practice in the monthly calls via Zoom. And we'll do a quick roll call. This is Randy Bauer. I am present. Kevin Pryor, the Vice President, is on another meeting, another U.S. Chess meeting, the DC chapter folks. So he may be joining us later. Then we have Mike Hoffbauer. Mike is present. Chuck Unruh,
Present.
Dave Hayter,
Present.
and John Fernandez,
Present.
Vish,
Present.
and Leela.
Present.
So we and Carol, Mike.
Here.
I've already forgotten about you. So we have a quorum, and the first order of business on for the open session is disclosure of any new conflicts of interest since our last meeting. Is there any conflicts for anybody to disclose? Excuse me. Hearing none, we go to the second item in open session, which is financial report for December 2023. Vice President of Finance, Chuck Unruh, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. As in earlier emails was pointed out, U.S. Chess has a bottom line surplus currently of $965,000 after 7 months of operation. But how did we get there? That's the important part. And what I wanted to bring to our attention tonight, December was also a good month, but we need to look at how did this all happen? Well, membership, cost control, they carried us on to and through October. At that time, our investments were really a headwind. Interest rates were rising. We had some unrealized capital losses. November 1st, the 10-year interest rate changed and the pivot by the Fed. Now that pivot means that they're planning to lower interest rates. It hasn't happened yet. But the 10-year on October 31st was at 5.02 and sunk all the way down to 378 recently, is now recovering to 4. It was 4 roughly today. It's trying to surround 4%. But this is an interest rate rally. Now, why do I bring that up? Because as in November, in December, we've had phenomenal response out of our investments, coupled with large donations. Meanwhile, membership was steady or increasing in November, December. It took a little bit of a break in there. And how can we see that? Nothing out of the normal, but we had $341,000 worth of equity gain in December. Well, one donation was $250,000, so we backed that out. We had $100,000 in gains in real dividends and recovering unrealized losses. So before getting too excited about the bottom line, we didn't really, our equity gain was not the typical membership in cost control, though they were there. So as going into the future, I think we're all right because we're going into the strong part of our cycle, our business cycle. And I would remind everyone that even in this business cycle, eventually our plans, programs, projects, this is endowed money, a lot of it, and it will go for the good of chess. And at that time, it will be a negative on our bottom line. So yes, this is the strongest I have seen U.S. Chess, and I thank Carol and her staff and the leadership. in our financial committees and our strategies. Our strategies are working very well. They're even ahead in the last 2 weeks, the first 2 weeks of the new year, where the market in general has traded off. So that's my report tonight. All is well, and I'll open it to questions.
The questions for Vice President Honore. Well, Chuck, I certainly want to thank you for all of the diligence that you provide us, your position, and the leadership that you also provide related to our investments. And, we have maintained a pretty good performance over the last several years. One of the things that we all are mindful of, I know, and we just have to make sure other people are mindful of, is we still have some major investments, particularly around our infrastructure, that are going to require significant outlays. And so we always want to be mindful of that as we start turning our attention to budgeting in our next couple of meetings. Is there anything else for open session? Hearing none, let's go to closed session, and we will return. We are back in open session. We've had several topics of discussion in closed session. There are some motions coming out of it. Mr. Secretary, would you read the first motion?
Yes, Mr. President. The first motion is in response to a delegates meeting action. It was an ADM at the time. Now it's a delegates motion 23-42. And the motion reads as follows: in accordance with delegates motion 23-42, the executive board moves to appoint a governance task force, a GTF, to create policies and procedures documents and to examine and revise the existing DASI as part of that document. The GTF will provide recommendations to the executive board, who will then make recommendations to the delegates at a future meeting. As members of the governance task force, the executive board moves to appoint Randy Bauer, Iowa; Leela DeCan, Louisiana; Lakshmana Viswanathan, Texas; Steve Doyle, New Jersey; John McCreary, South Carolina; and Kimberly Dew, New York, with the option to add additional members.
You've heard the motion, and as Mike explained, this is something that was actually sponsored by several members of the executive board as an ADM last year, Mike, Chuck, and Dave Painter, as well as David Day. And I think it is something that it's time for us to kind of figure out what's the role of DASI, how do we frame policies and procedures for organization. And with that, is there any other further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. And the motion passes 7-0. Next motion, Mr. Secretary.
So is it 70-1 or just 70?
Yes, 7-0.
Or just to say with Vice President.
Yeah, with Vice President Kevin Pryor is still engaged in another U.S. chess meeting, so he was not able to vote on this.
Yeah.
So it would just be 7-0.
Yep. Okay. Mr. President, we have two remaining motions, and both are related to our executive director. First motion: the executive board moves to accept the resignation of U.S. Chess Executive Director Carol Meyer, and that her final day as executive director is Friday, February 9th, 2024.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. I want to say, Carol, it's been such a pleasure to work with you. And as an executive director, you've been an outstanding resource for our organization. Organization has thrived under your leadership. I think you have brought the perspective of a seasoned 501c3 organization executive to U.S. Chess, and I know I've learned a lot from you. I am really sorry to see you leave. I had hoped that I could keep you in there until I got done with my term as president. but I know this is a great opportunity for you in your backyard. And I certainly, wish you all the best. And I know that everybody at USGS feels that way also. Is there other discussion of the motion?
Just as past president, I was fortunate to enjoy 3 years with Carol, working collaboratively, multiple phone calls, sometimes every day, but just, the trust and the discussion and the collaboration to me were extremely valuable in guiding the organization and helping make decisions.
Yeah, I mean, Mike knows because he was president and I too. This has been a 24/7 job, and Carol has been there every day that was necessary at any point in time in the day. I mean, I've got emails and texts from her. She has lived this for USGS. That commitment has just been astounding and outstanding. That we are really any further comments? Seeing none, there is a motion before the floor. All those reluctantly in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed. Motion passes 7-0. Carol, thank you so much again for all that you've
Thank
done.
you all. It's been a pleasure, really. We've had our bumps, but it's been tremendously rewarding taking this organization to a new place. And it wasn't me, it was all of you. It was the great team I have, prior boards, our volunteers. It takes many hands, and we made a really good team. So thank you.
Well, it's been said that failure is an orphan and success has many fathers. So there are lots of people that have, and I should say parents rather than fathers, but that's what the saying says. But it's been a group effort, but you have been, the leader of the band, so to speak. And we really appreciate that. So the next motion, if you want. So the next motion, Mr. Secretary.
Yes, sir. Executive Board moves to appoint Renee Bartlett, the USGS Director of Operations, as USGS's interim executive director effective Saturday, February 10th, 2024.
And again, as Wayne's explanation, of course, Carol's resignation is effective on February 9th, and Renee, who is currently our director, our chief operating officer, director of operations, is a logical person to fill in that position. It's obviously it will be a challenge for her. She's relatively new to the position, but my experience with her for reasons that she has been a quick study and has been particularly helpful and useful in her current role in a number of areas already, and though she hasn't been on the job very long. So I think it will be a good interim move for the organization. Of course, once there is a search going on for the executive director, then of course, once that search has been completed and choice has been made, that will go away. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion also passes 7-0. Does that dispose of the motions, Mr. Secretary?
It does.
Is there further, anybody have any topics that they want to raise in open session?
I want to, and I can't speak on behalf of Dave Hayter, but he and Vish, all three of us were at the recent grade nationals, but at least from my own observations, I want to commend the staff for an outstanding job in organizing the event, handling the details, working through some of the issues on site. But I thought that event was extremely smooth. And I also want to compliment the work that the Scholastic Council did in collaboration with our director of events in order to set fees and procedures for the event in terms of registration, because I also think that that registration process smoothed a lot of the rough roads that we have sometimes had with on-site registrations.
Thanks, Mike. You know, when you look around and see a continual increase in memberships in the organization, and you see the outstanding presence at these kinds of tournaments where we're getting numbers that we haven't seen much in the past, and you see financial commitments that are being made to the organization in terms of donations and ongoing support, you know, it is a good time to be US Chess. And I think it reflects both the value that the general public sees in the game that we all, you know, care so much about, and what the organization has done to be a professional, financially sound organization that runs good tournaments, that has in place guidelines like our safe play guidelines that will be useful for all of our players and members in terms of creating a good space for them to participate in our activity. You know, obviously there are always ways that we seek to improve, but I think the trajectory for this organization is really good, and that's something that we all can be happy about, and think that it's going to continue to be a successful organization and grow chess in the US in the years to come. So, no further comments. I will entertain the motion to adjourn.
So moved.
It is moved. Is there a second?
Second.
There's moved and seconded. Is there discussion? Hearing none. All in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you all.